A single pen, that's how it started. Funny, isn't it, how something so small can tilt the world on its side? I was 26, broke, exhausted, serving coffee in a rundown diner that smelled like burnt bacon and bleach. My name's Lena Carter. Once upon a time, I was going to be an architect 2 years into a top design program sketching towers and dreaming about building places that mattered. Then life took everything off the table. My dad, a brilliant architect who never made a dime, passed suddenly. My mom got sick, really sick, and the bills, they crushed me. Loans went into default textbooks packed away, and the only thing I had left of that old dream was his fountain pen. A heavy black thing with a gold tip engraved with words he used to whisper to me. Build a better world. I used that pen to scribble orders for pancakes and cheeseburgers. Every time I pulled it out, it felt like a little betrayal, but it was all I had left of him. Then one afternoon, the bell over the diner door jingled, and in walked this man. Gray at the temples suit that screamed money eyes sharp as a hawk. He didn't even glance at the menu. Coffee black. Whatever's fastest. That was it. I dropped off his sandwich later, and the whole time he barely looked up from his mountain of documents. When the check came, he patted his pockets, his jacket frowning deeper by the second. Problem, sir? I asked. My pen. He snapped like I was supposed to have packed it for him. I need a pen. I could have grabbed one of the diner's busted plastic pens, the kind that leak halfway through a word. Instead, without thinking, I pulled my father's pen from my apron. He took it, gave this tiny flicker of recognition, then scribbled some signature I couldn't even read, answered a call about zoning laws or whatever, swept everything, including my pen, into his briefcase and walked right out the door. I remember standing there staring at the empty space on the table where it had been. It felt like losing my dad all over again. A lousy $2 tip, and my last tie to my dream gone. I cried into the sink that night, but nobody noticed. They never did. 3 weeks passed. Same greasy shifts, same fake smiles. Then the phone behind the counter rang. Lena Carter, a polished voice asked, "This is Evelyn Hayes from Stratton Global. Mr. Jonathan Stratton would like to meet you tomorrow morning." I almost dropped the receiver. Stratton Global. I'd seen that name on half the skyscrapers in the city. The man from the diner, the thief who stole my pen. Was he going to sue me? Complain about the coffee, Evelyn added. He also wishes to return something of yours. Next morning, I'm in my thrift store blazer riding an elevator that shot straight up like a rocket. Evelyn, all calm professionalism, led me into an office bigger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a desk of polished wood, and there he was, Jonathan Stratton. He stood, placed my father's pen on the desk between us. My sincerest apologies. I was distracted. I took this by mistake. Relief washed over me so hard I almost gasped. It was my father's, I said, clutching it like it could anchor me. He studied me, then asked quietly, "Your father, was he an architect? I saw the engraving. I also noticed you sketching that day. It looked like a library layout. Smart use of light." I froze. He'd noticed. My little napkin doodle, a reflex I thought nobody ever saw. I studied architecture. Before life got in the way, I admitted. That's when he leaned forward, eyes blazing. "Our lead architect just abandoned the Stratton Community Project. Everyone else I've met is chasing prestige, not purpose. I want something different. I want you to show me your vision. You have 48 hours. I laughed, nervous, panicked. Me? I don't have a degree. I'm not asking for a license, he cut in. I'm asking for soul. His development head. Marcus Hale strode in right then. Slick hair, smug smirk. He glanced at me like I was dirt under his shoe. A waitress. Jonathan. This is insane. Stratton silenced him with a look. 48 hours, he repeated. Show me. I left shaking, terrified. But as I gripped my father's pen, I heard his voice in my memory. Build a better world. I quit the diner that night. Burned the ships. Those 2 days were chaos. I dug through dusty boxes, dragged out old drafting tools, textbooks. I went to the site, a forgotten lot surrounded by crumbling apartments and boarded shops. Instead of hiding behind blueprints, I talked to people. An old woman guarding her tomato patch teenagers, shooting hoops with a milk crate. A shop owner terrified a big project would crush his store. Their stories became my blueprint. I designed walls that hugged, not loomed. Courtyards for light spaces that felt alive. A library that looked more like a sunlit nest than a cathedral of silence. Basketball courts, music rooms, little storefronts for locals. My father's pen flew across the paper like it had been waiting for this moment. 2 days later, I walked into a boardroom that felt like a trial. Stratton sat at the head silent. Across from me, Marcus smirked with his sleek tablet. I stood, hands trembling, sketches mounted on foam board that looked pitiful against their mirrored table. "Good morning," I began, voice cracking. "I'm here to present the Stratton Community Project. But I'm not starting with buildings. I'm starting with people." I told them about Rosa and her garden, about the kids, and their hoop about the shopkeeper. Then I laid out my design pavilions wrapped around courtyards, a library that welcomed instead of intimidated. Architecture shouldn't be an object dropped on a neighborhood. It should be a conversation. For a second, the room was quiet. They were listening. Then Marcus rose, voice smooth as poison. "Charming story. But this is fantasy. We're managing a $50 million investment, not a fairy tale." He tapped his tablet and the screen behind him lit up with a glossy animation. Glass towers, perfect curves, Damien Croft's signature design. This is professional work. And let's not ignore the facts. Miss Carter hasn't finished her degree, has no license, no experience. Worse, she's drowning in debt. Over $30,000 in student loans, $50 in medical bills. Does that sound like someone we should trust with our legacy? I wanted to disappear. He was right about the facts. The room chilled. Then Stratton leaned forward. "He's right about one thing. This is a risk. So tell me, Lena, why should I risk everything on you?" My heart pounded. This was it. I looked him dead in the eyes. "You shouldn't risk it on me. You should invest in the perspective I bring. I know what it's like to be overlooked. I know what it's like when the city forgets your block. Mr. Croft's design is a monument. Mine is a home. You asked me to show you what building a better world looks like. It looks like sunlight on a tomato plant. It looks like a safe place for kids to play. You shouldn't hire me, despite my story. You should hire me because of it." The silence was deafening. Marcus smirked, certain he'd won. Then Stratton stood slowly. "Marcus, you've just reminded me what I don't want this project to become. Lena Carter, you've shown me fire. We're moving forward with your vision. Evelyn will draft the contract and initial $1 million to build your firm and hire partners." My knees almost buckled. $1 million. Marcus's face drained of color like his whole scheme had just gone up in smoke. The days after were a whirlwind. First stop was Mom's care home. I paid off everything, moved her into a sunny private room. For the first time in years, I saw relief on her face. Then I built my firm, Foundry Architects. Hired people like me, overlooked but brilliant. Stratton dug into Marcus's past and uncovered corruption, kickbacks, all of it. One morning, Marcus showed up and couldn't even get through the lobby. Fired, escorted out, reputation in ashes. Months later, I stood on the construction site of my design foundations, poured cranes swinging overhead. Stratton walked beside me in a hard hat. "It looks good, Lena," he said with a rare smile. "Feels right." He handed me a velvet box with a set of drafting pens. A builder needs the right tools. I thanked him, but I still patted the pocket where my father's pen rested. That one would never leave my side. Of course, nothing worth building comes easy. A city inspector tried to kill the heart of our design, demanded we box in the open atrium, turn warmth into drywall cages. Stratton, pressured by numbers, told me, "Sometimes business means compromise." I snapped back. "This isn't compromise. It's betrayal. It's exactly the soulless choice Marcus would have made." He went quiet. And I fought. Gathered neighbors told their stories in the press, filled the atrium with voices. Rosa said she wanted to wave to her friend across the space. Teenagers said it didn't feel like prison. The paper called it the people's atrium. Public support exploded and the city backed down. A year later, the center opened. Interconnected pavilions of wood and brick glowed against the gray skyline. The library, the basketball court, the storefronts, they all belonged to the people now. Reporters called me the waitress turned visionary, but for me, it was simpler. I wasn't serving tables anymore. I was serving my father's dream. And I still wonder, was Stratton's gamble on me brilliant intuition or reckless madness? What would you have done if you were him or me? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just my story, it's a question about risk, faith, and whether society ever really sees the overlooked. If this hit home, share it with someone chasing a dream, and don't forget to subscribe for tomorrow's story.